Good evening, and thank you so much to Msheireb Properties and also to my colleagues and friends from the Supreme Committee that should be somewhere around here. Even my lovely family came to see me as well, including my kids. It's very important that kids learn from a very young age about the importance of sustainability. And I'm glad to have hola. And I'm glad to have a very, job that I feel very passionate about, and a possibility to actually teach also my children about that. Many people ask me, how did you get involved in sustainability for the World Cup? And what I tell them is that, well, the country where I grew up, we actually think that we have been hard-coded, programmed to think in a sustainable way. After all, the country where I come from has 100% of its electricity coming from renewable energy sources. It has more trees now than it had when I was born. That was a long, long time ago. And it's also aiming to become one of the first carbon neutral countries in the world. I know many people look at me and say, you are from the Arab world, aren't you? And I'm not. I'm actually from a small country in Latin America. And probably you can hear from my accent. But I'll leave you guys to imagine what is that country. And if nobody guesses, I'll actually come back at the end. My family cannot say, by the way. Please don't say anything. Actually, I thought we were very special until I actually came to Qatar. And I read the Qatar National Vision. And I realized that actually the vision for Qatar was very ambitious. And not only that, that it was about to use the World Cup as a big catalyst to achieve the Qatar National Vision. It was amazing already what Qatar was already committing to do back in 2009, before it actually won the rights to host the World Cup. Can you all imagine that actually in only 13 months from now, we're going to be hosting here in Doha the largest, most loved, and hopefully also most sustainable mega sporting event in the world? Yeah. Yes, we will. And by the way, in just 1 month from now, we're going to be hosting an also very, very important milestone, the FIFA Arab Cup 2021. I'm hoping that many of you have already been buying tickets. This is going to be a major event, guys. It's going to bring together 16 different teams from the Arab world to play 32 matches in 6 out of the 8 World Cup stadiums. How exciting is that? So if you want to get a preview of what the World Cup is going to be like, please come and experience the Arab Cup. The stadiums, the environment, so many things that we are trialing out. And actually, that's what I want to do in this presentation. To tell you some of the things that we're preparing in terms of the operations of the Arab Cup that are helping us to prepare for the World Cup itself. You have heard already some of my colleagues talking about our sustainability strategy for the World Cup. You're also going to be hearing my colleague and friend Talar later on talk about sustainable stadiums. So I'm not going to go into those topics. You're going to be hearing about those topics later on today about stadiums. I'm going to focus on some of the elements related to operations. That makes sense? So let me give you a quick tour on some of the 10 most important things that we're doing to deliver sustainable operations for the FIFA Arab Cup. The first point I have to bring is probably not the most exciting point, but for me, is the most important thing that we have done to integrate sustainability in everything that we do in preparations for the Arab Cup and also for the World Cup. I'm not sure if you guys know, but the way that we operate when we are preparing a tournament is that we have a number of different functional areas or projects. So for example, logistics, transportation, accommodation, catering, food and beverage, many, many different projects are there in place in order to deliver this major tournament. So what did we do? From the very beginning, when all of these projects were actually doing their planning, were developing their roles and responsibilities, their scopes, we were there as sustainability. And we actually helped them to identify what does sustainable transportation means. What does sustainable logistics means? Yeah, great. Do great accommodation, do great catering, but great catering means sustainable catering, sustainable food and beverage. So we met with them, we helped them to identify their role in delivering a sustainable event. Now, what we have also been driving is the message that there is no successful tournament without being a sustainable tournament. Sustainability is the new normal, is the only way in which success in an event can be delivered. So that is the first thing that we did. The other thing that we did, and that we are very proud about, is that we actually went to the market, to all our suppliers, and we said, if you want to become a supplier for the Arab Cup, if you want to become a supplier for the World Cup, you need to help us deliver a sustainable event. And we published the Sustainable Sourcing Code. Check it out, it's online. And that identifies the expectations that we have from our suppliers. Now, the next thing that we did is that sustainability is integrated into every single step of the procurement process. What that means is that no company can become a supplier for the Arab Cup or the World Cup without sustainability being involved in the identifying requirements, in checking the proposals that are coming in actually providing a scoring, and then monitoring the delivery of that particular contract. We're actually now getting started to audit suppliers on the basis of sustainability requirements. And by the way, guys, we also have a go, no-go, or a pass or fail status. Meaning if a company is not willing to contribute, is not willing to comply with our sustainability requirements, it's very unlikely that they will become a partner of the Arab Cup or the World Cup. Right, so sustainable stadiums. You will hear about the features of the sustainable stadiums later on from my colleague Talar. They have been designed, guys, they have been designed to be sustainable. But it doesn't make sense if we are not, during the tournament operations, running them in a sustainable way, right? So we have to make sure that if they were designed to reduce energy consumption, that we're running them in that particular way, and that we're checking that the air conditioning is not too cold, or that it's not too hot, but it's actually at the right temperature. And we need to be checking that the lights that were supposed to be installed have been installed. And we need to make sure that basically every other element, that was designed, the water use, for example, saving water in the stadiums, is actually there. So that's why during the tournaments, we're going to be checking that all of the operations of the stadium are running at the maximum level of sustainability possible. And also it's going to be the first World Cup that is not only achieving certification for construction of the stadiums, but also a GISAS certification for the operations of the stadiums as well. Now let's talk about carbon emissions. I think many of you would have heard that since 2009, Qatar committed to deliver the first fully carbon neutral World Cup. I think some of you would have heard about this. Now, what is the most important thing that we need to do to start with? Well, we need to understand where are the emissions coming from, right? We need to know, what are the main activities that are generating the emissions. Now, we published earlier this year the report that you see on the screen, our greenhouse accounting report, that actually identifies where exactly the GHG or the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from. 90%, and I'm sure some of you would guess this, but 90% of the emissions are coming from three sources. Number one, international travel, of course. Number two, the construction of infrastructure. Quite a lot of infrastructure needs to be built. It has been built in a sustainable, environmentally friendly way, but still there would be embedded carbon in the construction. And number three, the accommodation sector. So we have been focusing on looking at ways in which we can work with the accommodation sector Together with the Supreme Committee, we have been carrying out a number of events to create awareness, help the accommodation sector to reduce its environmental impacts. Also, we have been working on other ways in which we can reduce emissions during the tournament. So everybody knows about the metro, and everybody knows about the fact that stadiums are connected very nicely with the metro. But that doesn't make sense if we as tournament organizers, if we as operators of the tournament don't make it easy for people to use the metro. That's why during the Arab Cup, as well as the World Cup, anybody that has a fan ID or that has an accreditation for the tournament, including all international visitors, will be able to use the metro for free. It's a no-brainer. I mean, you would have heard about the fact that Qatar will have about 25% of its public bus fleet to be electric. Well, as tournament organizers, we're also trying to contribute to that. And up to 50% of the World Cup fleet, the one that is going to carry around referees, that is going to carry around players, that is going to carry around workforce, is going to be either electric or hybrid as well. And these are just some of the examples of the areas that we're working on. I'm sure you guys are getting hungry now by looking at these pictures. Well, this is the food. These are examples of the food that the workforce during the Arab Cup are actually going to be eating. So, linking to what I was saying before in relation to the sustainable sourcing code, guess who were there when the catering provider for the Arab Cup was being chosen? Yeah, sustainability were there. Guess who was checking the packaging? Yeah, sustainability were there. Guess who was eating the food? Yeah, we were there as well. Eating the food, enjoying it, and actually making sure that actually we were going to maximize the reusable elements. So this is the food that people are going to be getting in a non-match day. So when there are no matches and they are working in the stadium, they will get this type of plate with reusable cutlery. There are going to be certain elements that because of health reasons, we need to put in packaging that will either be compostable or recyclable. During a match day, we're actually going to have all elements that you see here are either compostable or recyclable. And we are in the process of maximizing the amount of waste that will be either, of course, avoided first of all from the sites, and then recycled or composted. I don't know if you know, but back in early this year, we carried out another major event in Qatar. Some of you may have gone to the Club World Cup. Yes, some of you. So the Club World Cup, we managed to achieve 40% diversion from landfill. That is a major achievement because already at the moment in Qatar, we're achieving less than 10%. So achieving 40% was a major achievement. And guys, we're aiming for more. We're aiming to go way beyond that for the Arab Cup and even way further for the World Cup in 2022. The other thing that we're working on as well is aiming to reduce some of this by installing water fountains. So what that means is that people are able to use the reusable bottle. They are able to enter the stadium. We're talking here of workforce. They are able to enter the stadium with the reusable bottle. We also got a special permit from the Ministry of Health to have drinking water fountains in the COVID times that people can use with their reusable bottles. Those water fountains then will be installed and people will be able to use them and have access to water, not only to reduce waste, but also to have access in much more places from a health and access to water perspective. So that is something that we're working on. We may be able to achieve it now for the Arab Cup, but if not, I promise you guys, we will do it for the World Cup. So we're doing quite a lot of things to minimize waste, but I mean also, of course, we have to create a lot of awareness. We need, I mean, this is an example of the awareness raising we carried out in advance of the Club World Cup. We're going to be doing a lot of that in social media. We're also doing a lot of awareness in the stadiums themselves. We're carrying out training for thousands of volunteers, for thousands of contractors, for thousands of staff. we're also going to carry out a number of other awareness-raising activities so that we maximize the possibility of people putting the waste in the right places. You cannot believe the impact that it has if waste starts to be polluted, if waste starts to be mixed, and we try to avoid that. So that actually, later on, when it leaves the sites, it has the maximum possibility of being non-polluted waste that is actually going to go to the right waste streams and then be recycled. And we're working with a combination of the private sector, and there are some amazing companies doing recycling solutions in Qatar, as well as with the Ministry of Environment that is supporting us as well in testing different solutions for recycling of different materials, as well as composting in Qatar. And we're going to be tracking that very closely. I mean, when the waste leave the sites, we're going to follow it. We're going to check it out. We want to see where it went. We want to see which facility it got to. We want to know that it actually got to the recycling facility, that it got to the composting facility. We are going to be watching all the journey of that waste so that we are able to report credible figures about how much we avoided to go to landfill. Number 10, the last area that I want to share with you is that we are going to be monitoring the air quality around every single FIFA Arab Cup site, around every single stadium. Why are we doing that? We are convinced, and actually there is quite a lot of research on this, that actually poor air quality can affect not only the performance of athletes, but also the experience of spectators and workforce. And there are different types, different sources of air pollution. Could be localized sources, like let's say traffic or construction sites, generators. So we're going to be doing quite a lot of research during the Arab Cup to identify those sources, and then to be able to develop a plan to mitigate those during the World Cup in 2022, and being able to provide a very clean, very good quality of air for everyone that is going to be experiencing. Now, the bonus slide for my friend here, Naval. Good to see you, Naval. The bonus point that we added actually is that the stadiums are built to be accessible for disabled people and people with limited mobility. But again, we need to add a number of additional services during the operations. We need to help people to get from the accessible metro to the actual mag and packs. So we will have different types of transport system going from transport systems from the transport hubs to the actual entrances of the stadiums. But then when people get through those mag and packs, some of the sites are very big. We need a mobility set of services, of golf carts, of actually additional wheelchairs, people, volunteers that are going to be supporting disabled people to get all the way to their seats. For the first time also in Qatar, we're going to be providing during the Arab Cup what is called the audio descriptive commentary. These are specialist commentators that are able to narrate to an amazing level of detail what is happening on the field of play. So if you're a blind person, if you're a person with limited sight, but you love football and you want to go to the stadium and experience what it's like to be there, you are more than welcome, because we will have that audio descriptive commentary available for you and for anyone really that wants to use it, to be able to know exactly what is happening in the field of play. Also, we are in some last discussions to be able to have what is called a sensory room, that we're looking at having it in the Education City Stadium. It's a particular room where people with sensory limitations or intellectual disabilities are able to experience the tournament in a safe, quiet and calm environment, but they are still able to come to the stadium and experience the magic of football. So I know I've covered quite a lot there, and there is much more where that came from. If you are interested, we invite you to go to qatar2022.qa or to fifa.com/sustainability and check more information. We have a whole detailed strategy with 80 different projects that we're implementing. We are reporting constantly on our progress. You can see our first progress report. We're about to publish our second progress report before the end of this year, and we'll continue to update you guys. And anything that we can learn from you or take your feedback, we are always open for that. And hopefully, I'll see you in the FIFA Club World Cup very soon. Thank you very much. Costa Rica.